All right, guys, what's going on here? It's Crazy Kevin. I'm here with Drake Pellegrin. Drake, how we doing?
Good. Yourself?
Doing good, man. Now, talk to us a little bit about your next fight coming up. You said you have one book for May 25th. Talk to us about that matchup.
Yep. I'm fighting May 25th in Lafayette, Louisiana at the sports complex. It'll be my professional debut.
Very nice, very nice. Now, you have a lot of your finishes by submission. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Um, so yeah, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. I started when I was 13 years old, just primarily doing jiu-jitsu, doing striking like once or twice a week. And then I kind of got heavy into MMA around like 17, 18 and had my debut at 19 and got a lot of submission finishes. But I've been working hard on rounding off my game, and it was kind of important for me to finally get that finish by knockout before going pro.
Now, you had mentioned a little bit about knockouts and submissions. What do you think is more satisfying, a knockout or a submission?
Um, I think it was important for me to prove to myself that I could finish someone with striking, but I prefer finishes by submission, just because like it's clean. Like you tapped, you quit, I won. Like
Yeah. So no, it's definitely got to be a good feeling. Now, with you making your pro debut, I mean, who are some of the people that you are training with for your pro debut?
so my main training partner is Rylan Melanson. Um, my head coach that I'm working with is DeAndre Plumbar. DeAndre doesn't have a lot of experience in MMA as far as like fights, but he is a freaking wizard. So he's he's incredible to work with.
Pro debut, what arenas do you maybe have in the future that you're eyeing up after your pro debut?
I haven't really thought that far ahead as far as arenas that I'm gonna fight at. It's just kind of taking it one fight at a time. Like I know where I want to be, and I know the work that I'm gonna have to do to get there, and it's just doing that work and getting there at this point.
When it comes to the work ethic that you're putting into the gym, how long do you think it will take you to maybe take it to the bigger leagues like the PFL or the UFC or something along those lines?
For some reason, I've always like the way I've always envisioned it is going pro at 21, which I'm 21 now, and I'm going pro with. They always dreamed of having around 10 amateur fights. I had eight, had a couple fights fall through. So I'm around where I thought I would be at this point, and I've always said 26 was the number where I would break into a major organization. And I want to have more experience. I know a lot of people get into contender at like five professional fights right now. Sometimes I want to be a seasoned professional by the time I get to a major organization. I want to be ready to compete with the best guys in the world.
So just like competing and trying to compete with some of the best guys in the world, do you maybe have like some guys in the gym that maybe you'd love to train with one day in the future?
Yeah, we're working on going cross train with different places and stuff. Next week we're going to to Houston to go train at Eve Edwards' place to get some rounds with guys like Matt Schnell, uh Rafian Stotts, the all the great guys they have at Heritage Muay Thai and a couple of other places in Houston.
Yeah, gotcha. Now, how did you even get into fighting? Talk to us a little bit about that.
It's I started in Taekwondo when I was really young. I did that for 7 years. I got a third degree black belt in Taekwondo. And then when I was 13 is whenever I wanted to start doing more. I started watching fights and I was like, well, if I slip on a banana peel and end up on my back, like I have no idea what's happening. So I got into jiu-jitsu. They had Muay Thai classes at the jiu-jitsu gym that I was going to. So I started taking Muay Thai classes a couple times a week. Fell in love with jiu-jitsu, was training before and after school every day, teaching all the kids classes, staying late to drill, doing everything I could to because I just fell in love with the game. And then wrestled through high school and before I knew it, I had like an entire mixed martial arts skill set and I was like, well, might as well try to fight some people, I guess.
Now, with you being a Taekwondo practitioner, I also do Taekwondo myself. How hard was that transition from Taekwondo to MMA?
It was difficult at first because I came from like point fighting where you land a point and then the action stops and you reset. So I'm in Muay Thai class, I land a kick on someone and I'm waiting for someone to step in between us and I'm just getting drilled in the face. So that wasn't a fun transition. But once my boxing got better, like my kicks really started to shine because I could set them up better and they wouldn't see them coming as easily. And I was able to land and then get out of range after landing them and not just be a sitting duck after I landed my kicks. So I feel like it all blends together very well now. But at first, there was a lot of bad habits that I had to break.
Like you mentioned too with Taekwondo and point fighting, yeah, definitely. When you throw the shot and then it lands, I definitely get it when it comes to stopping the action. But when it comes to point fighting in general, how do you think it benefits you to be a better fighter?
Um, I think a lot of the kicks that I I can land in fights, I wouldn't have the mobility and the speed to get to those techniques if I didn't do Taekwondo for as long as I could. It also just helped with like a general understanding of body mechanics, where when I started doing other martial arts, I picked up on things very fast because I understood technique and how to move my body. And I worked really hard from a young age and developed a lot of discipline. So it all translated to some direction. I just had to make some adjustments along the way, but I think it was a great way to start and kind of had me fall in love with martial arts.
So now you're also a brown belt in BJJ. Talk to us a little bit about how BJJ training is going and when do you plan to earn your black belt?
I think I've only had my brown belt since around the end of last year. So I don't really have like a timeline for when I'm going to get my black belts. I know at this point, like it's just about time and grade, I think. Like I roll with black belts all the time and I don't think like it's some unreachable level. Like I know I can compete with those guys. So from a skill perspective, I'm always going to try to get better, but I don't think like there's this huge skill gap that I have to go through to get from brown to black. I just think I have to just keep showing up and keep putting in those reps, and I'll be there.
When it comes to the previous belts that you've earned so far in jiu-jitsu, how do you typically go from one belt to the next?
All of my belts have been given to me from other coaches complaining that I was sandbagging at tournaments. I had coaches that did not like to give away belts. So when I got my blue belt, I had been 16 for a month. I signed up for a tournament before I turned 16, so I wasn't even eligible for a blue belt, and I had already signed up for the tournament. So my coach was like, "Well, he's already signed up at white belt. He'll compete at white belt." And then at the tournament, he had coaches angry with him for letting me compete as a white belt. So I got my blue belt right after that, and then my purple belt. I went to a tournament and submitted a bunch of purple belts, and they were like, "Okay, what's going on over here?" And he had to give me my purple belt, and I've kind of worked for every rank that way.
Really makes sense. Now, with your MMA career, you're so young in it right now, but do you happen to have like any goals of like how you'd like to be remembered in MMA one day?
Um, I haven't really put a lot of thought into like how I want to be remembered. I love training and I think it's changed my life and I love teaching because I love pouring that back into other people and hopefully it can do for other people what it's done to for me. Um, but there's just something inside of me that needs to know if I can be the best in the world at it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Now, when it comes to just trying to be the best in the world, you also mentioned, or you also are a Marine at one point. Talk to us about that Marine mindset and how it sets you apart from maybe other fighters out there.
I feel like it's just like you're just used to the suck. Like I've been in fights where things are really bad and it feels like you've been there before and you're like, well, this is okay. I'm comfortable in this and I never thought to myself that I wasn't gonna win, even whenever it didn't look like there was any way I was gonna win.
So,
But
no, yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Oh, I was just gonna add with the Marines as well too. Do you maybe have like maybe one of the toughest experiences that you can maybe remember from the Marines?
I don't think it's like particular situations like outside of like boot camp where they're just drilling you every day and just try their entire purpose in life is to make you quit. Um, but like I can't think of like specific instances, but it's just being surrounded by people doing things that aren't fun and just having to band together and get through it and just developing that mindset of kind of being able to over get through anything.
I got you there. That definitely makes sense. Now, when it just comes to your career in general, you were mentioning, you haven't really thought too much about like how you'd like to be remembered yet, but when it comes to just like matchups and stuff like that in general, what makes a matchup exciting for you on paper?
I like matchups that scare me. Like when I fought Derek Rawls as an amateur, I remember like sitting up at night, like thinking about all the people that he had knocked unconscious and being like, man, that really could be me. That's a possibility that he's just gonna starch me in front of all my friends and family. And it was in a fight in the city that I'm from. So I was like, man, my everyone's gonna be there. People that like my school teachers are gonna be there, and they could all just watch me get put completely unconscious. And I went like scorched earth training for that fight because I knew how hard it was gonna be, and I was ready to go through hell, win or lose that fight. And if I don't think I would have won that fight if I wouldn't have been prepared mentally for that. So those mental struggles is what I love about a fight.
Sense. Now, is that maybe your biggest fear when it comes to fighting? Is maybe getting potentially like knocked out in front of all of your friends and family, or maybe like even like a potential like worse injury or something?
Yeah, for sure. Like I know a lot of people. Like I'm not necessarily like I'm afraid of being put in a position where I can't defend myself anymore. Like I feel like as long as I'm awake and conscious, I'm going to find a way to win. So I guess like being separated from that and not having the choice to continue to fight anymore is the only thing that really scares me going into a fight because no matter how bad it gets, I know if I'm awake, I'm going to find a way to get through it.
So, no, I gotcha. Now, somebody that may be in your position as well too, that's like getting ready to fight on the amateur scene. What advice would you give to them that are coming up?
Um, I would say to get surrounded by good people because there's a lot of people that'll just throw you into a fight that you're not ready to be in, and it'll stop you before you can even get started. So be surrounded by the right people that will put you in a position to have a successful career. Um, I'm glad like whenever I made my amateur debut, I was willing to fight anybody, and I had to have people be like, "No, we're gonna do this the right way. You're gonna fight a couple of fights on guys your skill level. You're not making your debut against the number one amateur in Louisiana. That doesn't make any sense. That's dumb." So like kind of finding people that'll protect you from yourself and build you up the right way is super important because as a fighter, you're always gonna think you can beat anybody.
Yeah, yeah. So I definitely agree with you there. When it comes to being on the amateur scene, how hard is it to even find a fight in general?
It was very difficult at first because like I came in with a lot of experience whenever I made my amateur debut. I had been doing martial arts since I was 7. I was 19 at the time. I had a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Not a lot of O&O amateurs want to take a fight like that. And not a lot of experienced guys want to fight a guy that is O&O but has been training for 13 years because that doesn't look good if you lose to that guy because he's O&O. So now it towards the end it actually kind of got easier because I had more of a record and it was easier to find other guys that had a record that were down to fight. But towards the beginning, it was very difficult to get matchups.
Definitely agree. always hear that from every fighter when it comes to just like the amateur and sometimes even like the guys that are on the cusp of the UFC, they kind of have a little bit of trouble finding some fights. One thing I was also wanted to ask you is I usually ask every fighter I bring on the show this. I'm a Taekwondo instructor myself. I've been training for 20 years. I started when I was 5 years old, and I've been teaching for 6 years now. I have a lot of guys at my gym, and with that being said, what advice would you give to those guys that are coming into the gym every single day and trying to train to keep on getting better and better?
I think that's it. You show up every day and you keep an open mind because like I know I don't know everything. I know I still have a lot to learn in this game, and I'm not above learning from anybody. I think I should absorb knowledge from everyone that I'm around. And that's what I love about fighting is that there's always more stuff to learn. There's always more growth, and it's made me better in other areas of life.
And Drake, I really appreciate that message. And Drake, speaking of messages, final message to the fans out there that are going to be watching this video.
I appreciate y'all's support. I couldn't do it without y'all. No one wants to fight in an empty room. Um, So I really appreciate all the support from family, friends, sponsors, everyone that's helped me get to this point, and I'm very excited to for it all to pay off.
Yeah, 100%. And Drake, we're looking forward to your pro debut in May. And thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to that debut, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, good luck May 25th.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, take care. Thanks again.
Bye.